Hey, I'm Netcat, and I just thought that I'd talk to you about some stuff that I've seen in Loki recently. With all the discourse around Loki, I've been seeing, a whole bunch of people talking about the time travel, and how there's no free will or there is free will, and a lot of people I really don't think are seeing what's actually going on in Loki. So that's why I figured that I'd be here to talk to you about today. That being said, it makes perfect sense to me that a lot of people aren't understanding how the timeline and time travel stuff works. This is because Loki is communicating in its time travel system and multiversal system to us through two unreliable narrators. The first one is Mobius. Mobius is unreliable because he actually has an ulterior motive whenever talking to Loki. And when he's talking to Loki, he's always trying to get Loki to do something. So this may or may not be true, whatever he says. Now, the other problem is that in the explanation video with Miss Minutes, that video does not show what actually happens. For example, in that video, it shows after the timeline is erased, the variant falls and re-enters normal society, and then that variant looks confused, and then suddenly the TVA come and takes them away. The problem here is that we actually see in the show that is not what happens. What happens is that they set the reset charge, they take him away to go to court, and then they erase the timeline. So if what they show us isn't what happened, how can we trust anything else that they say? The way that I see it, that video is just propaganda material, which is intended to make the criminal believe that the TVA actually has the best interests of the criminal in mind, which they obviously don't. So, we have time travel explained by two sources, neither of which is reliable. Well, thus, we need to actually examine how this entire thing works together, based on what we see and what they tell us. In my opinion, this video shouldn't even be necessary, but here we are. Thank you, Marvel. Well, so hopefully I can help make this all make sense. So, to begin with, when we're looking at all of this, we see this multiversal war that there is. I'm not even going to speculate as to what that actually is right now, but the Timekeepers came and reorganized it into the Sacred Timeline. Now, when it says the Sacred Timeline, this is actually a collection of timelines. I would posit that it is woven like a rope, as we can see in the image that I'm showing you on the screen right now. Now, what's interesting about this is that we don't have a single timeline, we have a collection of them. And since they are woven like that, that means that they are interconnected and they can interact with each other. The point here is that when the Avengers do their time travel in Endgame, this doesn't cause the problems that I had originally thought that it would. As long as their time travel is between, let's just say, approved timelines within this rope, that means that it is okay. The problem when Loki escaped, and that apparently wasn't part of the plan, is that would cause a branch that started to lead out of this rope. Just imagine these branches as if they are the rope fraying. And when the TVA comes in, they're getting rid of the extra threads, the frayed ends of the rope. Now, this leads into these nexus events that we are told that they need to keep from happening, otherwise reality ends. Personally, I don't think reality is going to end. I think that whatever great plan and the Timekeepers have with the Sacred Timeline will be ruined, but that's a topic for another day. But when they talk about hitting the red line, what I think is actually happening is that the timeline is branching more and more and more, up until the point that our rope is frayed so much that it is that it's unable to be contained by using the reset charge, which basically burns the timeline back to its source. By the way, these reset charges are weapons of mass destruction. Prove me wrong. Now, what actually causes these Nexus events? Not every choice is going to cause a Nexus event, and otherwise it would be constantly having problems. Only choices that lead to causing a branch that goes outside of the prescribed timelines is going to cause a Nexus event. So not every time that you're late for work will a Nexus event happen. A Nexus event is only going to happen if being late for work that time is going to cause some event that shouldn't have happened. Like, there was supposed to be a giant 10-car, 30-car pileup, and since you were late for work, that pileup didn't happen, and that pileup was, for some reason, important to happen. Then that's a Nexus event. But if you're just late for work and nothing comes of it, then there's no harm, no foul. This has implications on the discussion of whether there's free will or not in this universe. I would say that this means that there is limited free will in this universe. Because the TVA is not going to come in and melt you just because you made it any choice other than the one that they wanted. It's like if there are 8 choices that you could take, and 4 of them get what the TVA wants and 4 of them don't, then you've got free will to choose any of those 8. But if you choose 4 of them, you're going to die. But you still can choose the other 4, and any of those 4 are okay. This is not full free will, but I would say that this is limited free will. So all that is, in a nutshell, how I see the timeline, time travel, multiversal aspects of Loki. I've got a lot more in-depth thoughts on this, but I thought I'd try to keep this short and sweet for my very first video ever. I hope you found it interesting, and if you have any questions or would like to know how I came up with my model, I would love to answer them. Please leave comments. If you'd like me to delve more into any specific aspect of this show, again, please leave a comment. I would love to do a more directed video. So with that, thank you for watching this. Stay curious. Goodbye.